You should stand up so that you're closer to the mics.
Well, Kristen's vomit story would be a fun story.
Chain them.
Yeah. Well, I used to work in theater, so I do like stage management and stuff. And we were in the middle of a play, and I wasn't feeling super good. Had a headache, so I just kind of stepped outside. Was talking to the custodian in the theater, and he was talking about how everyone was just being a mess and stuff, and he was tired of cleaning up people's crap everywhere. And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." And then I vomited all over him. I had food poisoning, and it was just the beginning of it, and I was actually off for the rest of the run of the show, which sucked. But it just from here down on him was just so much vomit.
So much cringe.
So much cringe, so much vomit.
That wasn't Pat, was it?
No.
The old guy with the mustache?
That was Pat.
Pat, no.
Did he just sort of give a heavy sigh?
What I said, because I puked once and then I kept going and it was kind of dribbling as you do. As it does. So I'm dribbling and then in tears and apologizing at the same time. And he just stands
This
there.
never usually happens.
Stands there, covered in my vomit, and just says, "I'll get him up."
Oh.
And just walks away.
Oh god.
Yeah, I never saw him after that.
18,000.
Andrew, did you have a cringe
I
story?
do. It's actually also the story of why I'm here.
Get a step in.
Oh! So
Why
some
is
of
this
you,
a cringe story?
I don't know. I was pretty embarrassed by it at the
Right.
time. It's kind of minor, but so back in when was that? Actually, it was like 2011, 2012. So after I finished a year of doing probably some of the craziest stuff I've ever done, I wound up going to like a shuttle launch in New York Public Library for their centennial and stuff. I'm going out for beers with this cool guy I met at a Molly Lewis concert named Ashton.
Wait, what?
Cool guy.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. Different person.
Yeah.
And we're hanging out, we're having beers, and I think we're somewhere down on Commercial Drive in Vancouver. And he's like, "Wow, like you just did all this crazy stuff. Like, what are you gonna do next? Like, what's your next big photographic adventure?" I was like, "I don't really have a plan. Like, there's a couple things that sound interesting. I mean, like, well, actually, I don't know if you've heard of this or not, Ashton, but over in Victoria, there are these guys that do this video game charity run called Desert Bus for Hope." And I started explaining Desert Bus for Hope in detail for probably about 10 minutes. He just let me go.
I just wanted to see how long it would go for.
He's testing you. He wanted to see how well you do that.
I just proceeded to explain.
He obviously didn't know it that well. Did he like get everything wrong? No, exactly.
I was pretty spot on, but I had somehow missed the Team Ashton, Team Crows thing when I tuned in for 5. Like, just never saw it. So eventually at the end of it, he was just like, "Are you..." Like, I finished the explanation, he's just like looking at me like, I thought this was a build-up to a joke. Like, what's going on here? I was like, what's wrong? He's like, "I'm the tech lead for Desert Bus." I was like, "Oh. Well, do you need a photographer?" And now I'm here.
Desert bus splaining.
Yeah.
Killer 2C in the chat. Wait, what's this game about? It's what you see at the bottom corner. It is driving a bus.
Yeah, there's no deeper meaning.
No.
It occurs to me, Andrew, that's quite the interview process for Desert Bus, because it's important as the Desert Bus photographer that you're paying attention to the details.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw a couple of people ask in the chat, and I'm curious too. What was the name of the company that does those linting blueprints?
Gift Pop.
Gift Pop.
Yeah.
I don't know if
There you
we're
go, chat. Gift Pop.
I don't know if we're done with stories, but I have one I can make quick.
Sure.
It's a different kind of cringe, right? It's a
I think
different.
it's for everybody. So.
Yeah, if anybody
Okay.
has a funny short cringe story.
All right, here's mine. It's a different kind of cringing. I will tell you about the time I'm the sweet one, except not, and when I'm on feed dump and all the other times. So it's a little surprising that I have a story then about the time that my mother called the cops on me.
What?
Not, unfortunately, what you think, actually. I wasn't that interesting a child. But when I was about 14, I think, and my brother's 4 years younger than me, so he was about, 10. Actually, I was probably 13. We were at that age where he was not old enough to be sort of out on his own or anything like that yet. And I was sort of hitting that little point where getting adult independence, but not like can just go out and do what I want yet, at least in my family. So he and I went to a play that my friend was in at her school across town and saw the play, and it was really awesome. And afterwards, we just went on our own. My parents dropped us off. They were going to wait for me to phone them to pick us up. This is a while ago, so you got to remember the time. There weren't cell phones. I was going to go find that thing. It's a pay phone, so it's a phone on a stand. You put money in. Anyway, so I couldn't find the pay phone. Everybody, I'm asking where it is in the school, and everybody's like, oh, it's like over there, but the bars are locked in the hallway. There's one in the parking lot, and I'm just like, And then we find some friends of ours who are like, oh, we can drive you home. And they're family friends. These are people I know that we can trust. We'll drive you home. So we take a ride from them, but they were going to stop for ice cream with their granddaughter before, and so I was like, okay, fine, and we'll come with you. That's cool. And they were like, is this okay? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. We'll get home soon. We get into the ice cream store. I'm like, I should call my mom and let her know what's going on. I ask where the payphone is. It's across the dark parking lot, and I'm just like, I'm 13. I'm not thinking. I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, we'll be home soon. We have our ice cream. We go home. Get to the driveway, pull up in the driveway. I think everything's fine until my mom steps out the back door. Tears are streaming down her face. And I go, oh, bus. Like, it's just that moment where you're like, I didn't know anything was wrong until I saw my mother. And I'm like, did someone die? No, she thought maybe we had. So she hadn't heard from us all night, so she'd phone the cops, and I just get this like, your father's out looking for you. The cops are out looking for you. I'm just glad you're home. It was like one of those awful moments where you're like, I'm so sorry. She's like, I'm just glad you're alive. We'll talk about this later. And I'm like, oh my God. So the really like, the part is the next morning when, after all of this, my parents are like, we'll talk about it tomorrow. And of course I couldn't sleep. The next morning, my parents decide that in order for us to really learn our lesson, we're going to go down to the police station. And we are going to apologize in person to the officer on duty for making them go out to look for us when it was not actually an emergency, and we wasted their time.
Wow.
And because my brother's a little bit younger, I'm the one who has to do all the talking. And it was one of the worst moments of my life. And the cop was like telling us a story about these kids that they've been looking for down at Mardi Gras, and their mom was really worried how this is a serious thing and never to worry our parents like that. And I'm just like, but I learned my lesson and I never did that again.
Holy crap.
Wow.
I got it.
That's how you teach your kids to call.
All right.
Oh,
So
Alright.
Dix
long
and
were you
then
going?
Kate.
Like, how late
We
were you?
gotta meter these cringe stories.
All
Go
right,
ahead,
that's
go
gonna be a
ahead.
quick one.
Dix, please stand by.
We're just gonna reset the overlay.
Oh.
Now we have Gbo's working.
Ooh.
Ignore that. That happens every time. That's part of resetting the overlay.
That's why I switched over to a test pattern.
You didn't.
Yes, they see the test pattern, you don't see the test pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah, just reset the
that works.
the
Ow.
caption. Sorry.
Bullets.
Oh, you're doing it?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'll let you sit down.
No, it's okay. Okay. Well, I'll do the lower third. Dix, go ahead.
Okay, so my cringe story dates back to when I was 5. I went to the emergency room for something quite stupid. So it was April Fool's Day. I remember this because it was dinner time, and I was watching. It was just about dinner time, watching Jeopardy, and I had some really like something was really bothering me in my nose, and I was itching and couldn't get. Like it was like booger or something like that, whatever. And I was like, in my infinite wisdom, I decided it would be a smart idea to stick a pea up my nose to try and get it out.
We got Chivo.
So yeah.
Yay! Gbo's are fired.
Yeah, other than that, it was yeah, hard one to explain to my mom when like I walked into her crying. I'm like, hey mom. She's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I have a pea up my nose. She's like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, it's up there. So yeah, it's kind of embarrassing.
But what did Alex Trebek think?
Yeah, that's right.
Mentioned Jeopardy,
Speaking
and
of-
I was figuring that was somehow going to play into the
No, it's just random memory.
That was
but
just random memories.
my dad has
Years
actually-
ago,
my
Double
dad-
Jeopardy.
My dad has actually been on Jeopardy before.
Oh, wait.
How do you get that out?
Alligator clam.
I got to visit the
Yeah.
set.
They use
Yeah.
the alligator thing.
I visited the set of Jeopardy once.
They have
on
a tool specifically for that because kids do it all the time.
I visited the set of Jeopardy on a studio tour.
Yeah.
And one, it's way smaller in person than it looks on television.
That's my dad told me.
Like, man, those lenses, like it looks way small. And two, there was another woman on the tour who was super into this. Direct quote. I have died and gone to heaven. I am on the set of Jeopardy. Direct quote. And we were like, wow, that's, I mean, I'm thrilled to be here, but
That's the peak.
okay. Okay.
Okay, I got a silly one too.
All right.
I'm gonna snuggle up to James though, because it's cold in here. So when I was little, which didn't last for long, but probably about 3, my father bought me a tricycle, an old school tricycle with the flat platform on the back and the big front tire. And I wasn't big enough to really reach the pedals, so he blocked the pedals with 2x4s so that the pedals were even taller, these big huge blocks. And he said to me, don't ride this barefoot. Whatever you do, don't ride your bike barefoot. So I was like, sure, okay. So I completely ignored him because I much preferred to be barefoot than to have shoes on. So I'm cruising down this hill in Owen Sound, Ontario. If anybody's from back there will know where that is. And of course I'm barefoot. I'm on my new bike, man. Life is good. Jammed my toe in between those spokes, flipped myself over into the ditch with the bike on top of me. And I knew that my mother fainted at the sight of blood. I knew that. There was a house rule to eliminate all blood before you went home. So I'm trying to get my foot disentangled from the spokes.
And
So
you know
I
you can't tell Dad because he told you not to do this. So
can't tell anybody.
can't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Walk
So
it off.
ripped a piece of my t-shirt off, wrapped my toe, then I went and put my shoes on. And got back on my bike.
Yeah.
Because then I rode it home and it was like, yeah, you know, I wasn't riding barefoot.
That's a double cringe.
People seem to cringe. I think that works.
That was a different type of cringe.
You didn't define cringe.
Why, Bill,
No,
you
no.
just want it?
Cringe.
We've had the whole range. It's good.
Guys, only 9 minutes left
Who's
in the
next?
$8.88
Who's
challenge.
next?
There was a, what?
I could do another one, or we could jump onto something else.
Well, let's come back. Let's circle back around to cringe stories.
Achievements over and over and over again.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Working as intended.
Those we just happen to have all fired recently.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
they're backlogged achievements.
we have made so many bad choices in our life. We'll have more cringy stories for you guys.
Yeah.
Can we get the just before we move on? Can we get the poster back up and
Oh yeah.
the
Let's
main
see. So we've
shot?
got 8.5 minutes left in our current donation drive for the uncut sheet of foil M15 rares and mythics. You know, we're gonna bring that up front and show you in person here.
Oh,
This
God, it's so
foil
good.
sheet. I like that it has the backs as well. Not that you'll ever display that, but these are real. This is what they use to cut into the cards, and you can win it for only $8.88 if you donate that or any multiple thereof in the next 8 minutes. You'll be entered into a draw for that.
And we also, in that 8 minutes, we're trying to make it to
I mean, we're $4 grand away.